I'm Jake, just recently turned 20 and became a college student after graduating high school. Supposed to be living with a family of 4. It was supposed to be 4 of us, but now, well, it's 3, I guess. I have an older brother, and then there are our parents, making us a family of 4. There was a time when it was just me and dad, you know, a father-son household. After that, we became a family of 3 again. The one who left was our mother. And now, I have no idea what she's up to. So, that's the deal. Listen to this story from my childhood, will you? Like I said before, I have an older brother, and man, he was smart. My brother and I are 5 years apart, and by the time I started elementary school, he was already in the 6th grade. At school, my brother was called a prodigy, and both the school and our parents had high hopes for me, too. Of course, at home, my brother was always a priority, and I was practically invisible. Even when I came in first at the kindergarten sports festival, they wouldn't give me a second glance. Frustrated by that, I did various things to try and get my mother's attention. I even tried getting hurt on purpose or forcibly getting muddy with my brother. But as long as my brother was okay, my mother didn't care what happened to me. She was always fussing over my brother, and all I got was her yelling at me in a loud voice. That just made me act out more. And I think I really caused a lot of trouble for not just my parents but also the school. My mother was called to the school several times, but all she did was scolding me. My dad has often been away on business trips, as long as I can remember. So, when I was a kid, he was hardly ever at home. I forgot to mention, but my mother did run a company. Just so you know. To be honest, I don't really remember what kind of company it was. So, even without my dad around, we were able to live fairly well. With no one to blame my mother, her favoritism towards my brother just kept getting worse. While that was happening, my brother graduated, and when he entered middle school, I felt left behind. I stopped being compared to my older brother every day, but in exchange, it seems like everyone else lost interest in me too, especially the teachers. They compared me to my older brother to an annoying extent, especially when it came to school events and grades. At home, it was just as lonely, with my mom and my older brother being so close to each other. Everything in the world became so dull to me that I even stopped getting into mischief. Of course, I didn't study at all, and my grades were at the very bottom. Just because I stopped getting into mischief didn't mean I felt any motivation to study. By the time I entered middle school, my brother, who is 5 years older, had already graduated from middle school. What do you think happens then? When I entered middle school, the teachers who had been watching my older brother were waiting. In other words, they had excessively high expectations of me. Of course, I think they were already aware of my behavior and grades from elementary school. But the middle school teachers had seen my brother, so despite everything, they thought I would be smart too. But once I actually started attending school, I was introverted and not good at studying. I wasn't getting into mischief, but of course, I was still someone with no particular personality or uniqueness. When the teachers realized that, their attitude towards me was just awful. They would approach me with hopeful eyes, only to be disappointed by my responses and turn their backs. They would say, "Your brother was being good at studying. He found this so easy." I felt really small. I pretended not to care, but I have ears too. And the gossip reached me loud and clear. From then on, I tried to be as inconspicuous as possible, acting as if to say, "I'm not here." Even when I got home, no one would speak to me. Meals were provided, but they were just left there for me. My mother increasingly favored my older brother, and she would even click her tongue when she looked at me. Then, before I knew it, summer vacation came, and I no longer had to go to school.
You always have such a gloomy face. It's bothersome. Stay in your room and don't come out.
That was the first thing she said to me after a long time. When I lifted my downcast face, my mother was looking at me as if I were something filthy. I was hungry and went to the living room. But after hearing those words, I just didn't care about that anymore. I immediately went back to my room and then just intently listened to the sounds from downstairs. I timed my actions for when my brother and mother were either out or had gone to bed. I would sneak around the fridge and nibble on food without getting noticed. It never had the guts to ask my dad for help. It just never crossed my mind to begin with. I thought to myself that it was inevitable, considering I couldn't do anything compared to my older brother. That's why I never even considered that I should ask for help. One day, after living like this for a while, it became noisy downstairs. Wondering what it was, I peeked down the stairs from the 2nd floor. Then my mother happened to look up in my direction, and I instinctively hid. Then, unusually, my mother started talking to me.
We won't be here from tomorrow.
She started saying something incomprehensible, looking thoroughly annoyed. Not understanding what she meant, I timidly peeked my face out again.
I'm going to the US with your brother, so you stay here.
Being told this so suddenly, I was even more confused. and tilted my head in bewilderment. My mother seemed displeased with my reaction, suddenly raising her eyebrows and yelling,
You're so clueless. We don't need a failure like you. If you were also excellent, I would have taken you with your brother. It's just impossible now, so we don't need you anymore.
Saying that, she slammed the living room door shut. You'd think I'd be shocked to be told by my own parent that I wasn't needed, but at that moment, I didn't feel anything at all. Instead, I felt excited about being on my own from that day on. A few days later, it was the day when my mother and brother were leaving. She told me to come see them off, so I went to the entrance. Then, my mother threw an envelope to me.
It would look bad if our neighbors think that I abandoned you. Your father will be back soon, so make do with that until then.
After she said that, my mother left the house with my older brother. Facing the front door that had just been shut with a foot, I muttered just one sentence. Well then, goodbye. The soft murmur I uttered, of course, didn't reach my mother and the others. I picked up what was thrown at me and checked inside. There was $10,000 inside. Surely with that much, I could get by for a while. I didn't know when Dad would come back, so I thought I had to save money. And so, I was able to have the best summer vacation ever. But the problem was, I had no idea how to spend this great time. I didn't have a single friend, nor did I know any places to go and play. I had become free, but there was nothing for me to do. So, what do you think I did? Believe it or not, I started studying. To be precise, it was my summer vacation homework, but with all the free time I had, I started tackling that. But obviously I didn't understand anything, so I made no progress at all. Looking back, I should have just copied the answers. Being the conscientious person I am, I actually flipped through the textbook. I did my homework with the textbook in hand, leaving the parts I didn't understand blank. After grading it myself, I copied the incorrect and blank parts into a notebook. I thoroughly researched why the answers turned out the way they did. I was so engrossed in it that I didn't realize it had gotten dark. Normally I would have been scolded for sure, but I immediately ran to the convenience store and bought whatever I liked. Doing such things without getting scolded by anyone, I really thought freedom was a great thing. After several days later, my dad finally came back. He apparently called out loudly, but I was so engrossed that I didn't notice. I had no idea until my father grabbed my shoulder in the living room.
Hey, are you alone? Where's your mom? And your brother?
Dad? Welcome back. It's just me. They left. Surprised by my words, my dad threw down his luggage and started searching all over the house. But of course, there was no one there. And when he came back to the living room, he was quite shaken.
Gone? What do you mean by gone?
Mom said she's going to the US with my brother. Apparently, they don't need someone as useless as me. As I said that, moving my hands, my dad grabbed my hand and made me turn to face him.
Since when? Since when have they been gone?
It's already August, so about 2 weeks ago, I guess.
Then how have you been managing your meals during this time?
I was given this, so I've been using it. Was it okay? As I said it, showing the envelope, my dad hugged me.
Why didn't you tell me sooner? No, that would be impossible, isn't it? You don't even know how to reach me, do you?
Should I have let you know? After all, seeing my dad crying with his shoulders shaking, I felt a bit of remorse. I actually thought about contacting you, but I was afraid of being rejected like Mom did. And I didn't have your number either, so there was no way to reach you. After that, my dad took me to a family restaurant nearby. I had never been to a family restaurant before, so I was excited as I looked through the menu. Then, in a heavy tone, my dad started to talk to me.
Hey, I'm actually thinking about getting a divorce from your mom.
Okay, I'll be living with you then. While I was looking through the menu, I answered without even looking up. For me, I had no intention of moving to the States, and I didn't believe my mom would come back either. So when I said it as if I had any other choice, and then Dad just started bawling. This took me by surprise, and I cautiously checked out Dad's expression.
Are you willing to live with me, someone who until now didn't know anything and just let things be?
Hearing Dad speak so feebly, I was nodding yes without even thinking.
Well then, I guess I have a lot to prepare.
Saying that, Dad called the waiter over and ordered several items.
Order whatever you like. I will take care of the check.
Feeling happy, I ordered a big hamburger. I've always wanted to try it at least once. During the summer break 5 years later, Mom came home bringing my older brother with her. Mom came back all of a sudden when we were in the middle of discussing our future paths.
I came back. How have things been since then?
The one who came through the front door with a loud noise was my mother, the mother who had left me behind. We sat at the living room table, knees touching, just staring blankly.
Hey, it's been a while, so come greet me, will you? Oh, you're here too.
We were having such a serious conversation that everything else seemed trivial.
Isn't it more convenient to choose the one nearby?
But the universities close to here don't offer the field I want to study.
But studying abroad, you know.
What? You're applying to universities abroad?
Well, it is appealing, I must say.
That's amazing, isn't it? Did you get that from school?
I twisted my body to shake off the hand on my shoulder and then turned to flip through a pamphlet for a domestic university. Realistically, this is the place, but then I have to start living on my own.
I would feel lonely, too. All right, then shall we move?
Between Dad's words and us ignoring her, Mom's face turned beach red in an instant.
What's been going on? Explain it to me in a way I can understand.
Mind your own business, stranger. And you're trespassing, by the way.
A stranger, you say? What are you talking about? We are not divorced, you know.
I see, so you're scatterbrained, huh? Despite the fact that you're the one who left the divorce papers, I gratefully submitted it. Someone like you shouldn't call yourself a mother.
Seizing the moment, I quickly pulled out my smartphone and made a call. Hello, is this the police? There's a strange woman who has entered my house. After saying that, my mom tried to grab me and lunged at me with her arms raised.
Enough already. Let's get out of here.
Hearing my brother's voice for the first time in a while, it was small even though he was yelling. This time, it was our turn to be dumbfounded, and my brother tried to leave, taking our screaming mother with him. I hurriedly chased after my brother as he was pulling our mother's arm to leave. When I was about to speak up, my brother said it with a voice that didn't lose to our screaming mother.
I'm sorry for everything up to now. Enjoy your college life for the both of us.
Saying that, he left with our mother, and the house fell into a deep silence. Summing up what our mother was yelling about, it seems my brother had failed at something. My brother, who went to the United States full of high spirits, couldn't adapt to life abroad, and his grades started to drop significantly. He somehow graduated from high school and got into college, but ultimately, he dropped out. It seems he came back here after everything. My brother, who couldn't adapt abroad and fell behind, and me, who, left on my own, rapidly started to stand out. It seems like our mother decided to give up on my brother and switch her focus to me instead. Upon learning this, my brother, concerned for me, seemed to want to pull our mother away. Stunned, I felt a tap on my shoulder from Dad, who had somehow appeared behind me. Feeling indescribable, I let out a sigh on the living room sofa.
Your brother is smart, you know. He understood the situation and helped you out. You guys really are smart, after all.
As he is saying that, I weakly nodded to my dad sitting next to me. That summer vacation, I found studying to be fun. Knowledge began to rapidly fill my head, which had been empty until now. I found that sensation so enjoyable that I kept studying all the time from then on. Thanks to that, my grades improved significantly, and I attended a prestigious high school known for its academic excellence. At school, I started to be called a prodigy, and my reputation skyrocketed. And so, I was faced with the choice of attending a domestic university or studying abroad. After much deliberation, I decided to attend a university in my home country. Considering living arrangements, I decided to move with my dad. As a result, I ended up losing any means of contact with my mother and brother. To be honest, I don't really care about my mother, but I was worried about my brother, yet there was no way to know anymore. Dragging a sense of regret, one day Dad calls me over with a big smile on his face.
A new life is starting for us. It's better not to have any regrets.
Saying that, Dad showed me his smartphone, and there was a message from my brother. I quickly looked up and looked at Dad. Dad quietly nodded and then lent me his smartphone.
Are you both doing well? I've cut ties with Mom and am living on my own. I'm going to start over and do what I want to do. I'd be happy if we could get along again.
After seeing that message, I immediately replied. Forgetting that the smartphone was Dad's, I excitedly typed out a message. I'll do my best, so you should too, bro. Think for yourself and let's reclaim what we've lost. After that, I gave him my contact information, and we've been in touch ever since. So the three of us decided to give it our all and move forward together. After that, my brother started studying from scratch and began looking for the university he wanted to attend. It's a bit of an odd situation, but I often meet up with him to teach him his studies. Sometimes we talk about our mother, but all my brother knows is that she went back to her own family. No one knows the circumstances under which our prideful mother went back to her family. Thank you for listening to all of this. Humans can start over from anywhere, so giving up is just a waste, isn't it?